students. Today we will start History of Class 10th, Chapter 1, The Rise of Nationalism in Europe, Part 2. Contents are: first one is the making of nationalism in Europe, second, the aristocracy and the new middle class, third is what did liberal nationalism stand for, fourth, a new conservatism after 1815, and fifth is the revolutionaries. Topic first is the making of nationalism in Europe. In mid-18th century, there were no nation states as we know them today. Germany, Italy, and Switzerland were divided into kingdoms, duchies, and cantons whose rulers had their autonomous territories. Eastern and Central Europe were under autocratic monarchies within the territories of which lived diverse people. They did not see themselves as sharing a collective identity or a common culture. Often they spoke different languages and belonged to different ethnic groups. The Habsburg Empire that ruled over Austria-Hungary, for example, was a patchwork of many different regions and peoples. It included the Alpine regions and Austria and Sudetenland, where the aristocracy was predominantly German speaking. It also included the Italian speaking provinces of Lombardy and Venetia. Such differences did not easily promote a sense of political unity. The only tie binding these diverse groups together was a common allegiance to the emperor. Second topic is the aristocracy and the new middle class. Socially and politically, a landed aristocracy was the dominant class on the continent. The members of this class was united by a common way of life that cut across regional divisions. They owned estates in the countryside and also townhouses. They spoke French for purposes of diplomacy and in high society. Their families were often connected by ties of marriage. Powerful aristocracy was, however, numerically a small group. The majority of the population was made up of the peasantry. To the west, the bulk of the land was formed by tenants and small owners, while in Eastern and Central Europe, the pattern of land holding was characterized by vast estates, which were cultivated by serfs. A working class population and middle classes made up of industrialists and businessmen, professionals in Central and Eastern Europe. These groups were smaller in number till late 19th century. It was among the educated liberal middle classes that ideas of national unity following the abolition of aristocratic privileges gained popularity. Third is, what did liberal nationalism stand for? Here this topic is divided into three parts. Under these three topics comes, first is a right to freedom. The term liberalism derives from the Latin root liber, meaning free. For the new middle classes, liberalize stood for freedom for the individual and equality of all before the law. Politically, it emphasized the concept of government by consent, since the French Revolution had stood for the end of autocracy and clerical privileges. A constitution and representative government through parliament 19th century, liberals also stressed the inviolability of private property. Second is the right to universal suffrage, means right to vote. A right to vote and to get elected was granted exclusively to property owning men. Men without property and all women were excluded from political rights only for a brief period under the Jacobins did all adult males enjoy suffrage. However, the Napoleonic Code went back to limited and reduced women to the status of a minor subject to the authority of father and husband. Throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries, women and non-property men organized opposition movements demanding equal political rights. Third is freedom of market. Liberalism stood for the freedom of market and the abolition of state imposed restrictions on the movement of goods and capital. During the 19th century, this was a strong demand of the emerging middle classes. A merchant traveling in 1833 from Hamburg to Nuremberg to sell his goods would have had to pass through 11 custom barriers and pay a custom duty of about 5% at each one of them. Duties were often levied according to the weight and measurement of the goods. As each region had its own system of weights and measures, this involved time consuming. Topic 4 is a new conservatism after 1815. The defeat of Napoleon in 1815, European governments were driven by a spirit of conservatism. Conservatives believed that established traditional institutions of states and society like the monarch, the church, social hierarchy, property, and the family should be preserved. Most conservatives did not propose a return to the society of pre-revolutionary days. They realized from the changes initiated by Napoleon that modernization could be strengthen traditional institutions like the monarchy. It could make a state power more effective and strong. A modern army, an efficient bureaucracy, and dynamic economy. The abolition of feudalism and serfdom could strengthen the autocratic monarchies of Europe. The Treaty of Vienna of 1815. In 1815, representatives of the European powers like Britain, Russia, Prussia, and Austria, who had collectively defeated Napoleon, met at Vienna to draw up a settlement for Europe. The Congress was hosted by the Austrian Chancellor Duke Metternich. The delegates drew up the Treaty of Vienna of 1815 with the object of doing most of the changes that had come about in Europe during the Napoleonic War. Bourbon dynasty, which had been deposed during the French Revolution, was restored to power. And France lost the territories it had annexed under Napoleon. A series of states were set up on the boundaries of France to prevent French expansion in future. The main intention was to resolve the monarchy that had been overthrown by Napoleon and create a new conservative order in Europe. Last topic is the revolutionaries. During the years following 1815, the fear of repression drove many liberal nationalists underground. Secret societies sprang up in many European states to train revolutionaries and spread their ideas. To be revolutionary at this time made a commitment to oppose monarchical forms that had been established after the Vienna Congress and to fight for liberty and freedom. Most of these revolutionaries also saw the creation of nation states as a necessary part of this struggle for freedom. One such individual was the Italian revolutionary Joseph Mazzini, born in Geneva in 1807. He became a member of the secret society of the Carbonari. As a young man of 24, he was sent into exile in 1831 for attempting a revolution in Liguria. He subsequently founded two more underground societies, first Young Italy in Marseilles and then Young Europe in Berlin. Mazzini believed that God had intended nations to be the natural units of mankind, so Italy could not continue to be a patchwork of small states and kingdoms. Mazzini's relentless opposition to monarchy and his vision of democratic republic frightened the conservatives. Metternich described him as the most dangerous enemy of our social order. Thank you.